Looking for Dark Fantasy Gacha Game you can enjoy in 2026. In this video, we are checking out 10 exciting titles with a dark world, collectible characters, engaging gameplay, and also F2P-friendly system, all available for Android and iOS player. Top 10 Best Dark Fantasy Gacha Games in 2026, F2P-friendly games for Android and iOS. We have a new Facebook fans page now. The name is GameMobile HDgraphic. Besides on YouTube, we will give an update on Facebook as well. A lot of amazing top list games will show up every day, so please check this out now. The link on the description and pinned comment. Devil May Cry Peak of Combat. This game has a strong vibes to describe the dark fantasy game. Even the game's title has the concept already, and I am sure everyone knows the game since it was really popular on PC platform before. The game will show us how the gothic atmosphere and a lot of demon, monster, and also the Play Store give it a special tag of a dark fantasy game, which is it's pretty clear how they try to drive the gameplay into that genre. It has a F2P gacha game because we only need to get a different hero through the gacha system, but most of the important thing is how we can control a certain hero depending on the hero's playstyle and also the combat mechanism. Because the winning chance will determine how well you make a combination action skill from a different buttons like the basic attack, light skill, heavy skill, dash, and jump. Even if we can switch the character while we are in battle, it will significantly boost your winning chance by reading the enemy's pattern and finding out the counter attack. Chaos Zero Nightmare. This game is pretty identical to represent what a dark fantasy game based on mobile looks like. Even the Google Play officially give a special tag or topic to it as a dark fantasy where a dark world that's full of chaos. So the storyline is pretty clear on delivering a thrilling ambience. I love how deep the storyline looks, and I'm sure the first impression you get will easily describe that feeling. Not only a story but also some aspects perfectly describe it, like the ambience, music background, and also how the monster design looks. For me, it's F2P friendly because most of the players are satisfied with the enemy's power being quite low. We don't even have to do any single top up to clear the original story in the campaign mode, which is in the PvE or story mode. Once you're experienced in game, then you will easily fall in love with it. Annihilus. It has a strong ambience to let the player notice if this game is an intense dark fantasy base. Even since the prologue started, the developer is trying to make something different from any dark fantasy genre, which is they create an interesting game's concept become a tactical game, where the main inspiration is about a war between the knight in the medieval era. In the novices world, the developer are pretty detailed on giving a huge attention to detail like the extreme weather, huge war, a night cycle, and also any cosmic horror base. I would rate 10 out of the 10 because of the gameplay, visual, and also any ambience that we can easily experience at all. We'll become a captain who's lead some hero or knight in our side. We can train them through the leveling and also gear them up with a nice weapon. It's a free-to-play friendly because the main storyline should be easy to pass, especially the enemy's level is quite low at all. Even at a certain moment, the hero's quality is matter. As long as you understand that vintage combat pattern work, then everything will run amazingly. The team's composition and right decision will take a crucial moment to determine the result, especially if you are a free-to-play player. Higan Erutil. Even this game has an anime style, but the game's storyline represents a dark and surreal world, which is the main storyline has a dark fantasy base, where every human is sleeping just like they are die, and our main goal is to waking up the human from the eternal nightmare. So it has a 100% dark fantasy story. No matter if the game represents with an anime, it doesn't matter. The gacha game is perfectly good because we'll have a special system that we call with wish, so we can stay focused on a certain character or item that we would like to get. Once you pick a certain hero on the wishing menu, then the gacha rate will significantly increase. It has a real-time combat RPG system in a dynamic instruction we should manage for any character. Lock the target by dragging the skill or just tap the autoplay to let the game play by itself. Blade of God X Oracles. This game is one of the best dark fantasy games and also best free-to-play gacha game on mobile. Trust me, it's a good one to call as no pay-to-win game as well, because every decision will be determined by how well you can understand the enemy's combat pattern, the dodge action, move, and also dash is perfect. Blade of God is a real-time action combat. The combat is focused on the dynamic, combo, skill chain, and also how you should do a counter-attack. Surely reading the game will be so important as well, as the main game's identity is pretty good on representing the dark fantasy base. From every single aspect like the animation, graphic and also the monster design, I have realized if the developer are lowering the boss's level and strength. I remember how difficult we can kill the boss once I play it on the beta testing, which is it's not a hardcore anymore, especially at the beginning of the campaign mode. Path to Nowhere is one of the right choices if you are looking for a gacha game with a dark fantasy base. The main gameplay is about a character's collection, the player recruiting and getting some hero to develop the team's lineup and fight on every stage. The world is not bright and clear, that's why I put it on this list. We'll play in the dystopian world where the apocalypse comes because of the mysterious meteor, where the strong villain comes to make the human unconscious and become a monster. So we should fix the world then. Some elements will easily describe how the dark fantasy elements look like. For example, the apocalypse, mutation monster design, psychologist horror, and Lovecraftian atmosphere. The last one is the story is pretty serious and dark. The combat mechanism is a tactical and strategy based, so we need to place the right hero in the right places to maximize the potential. Limbus Company. It's impossible for me to not putting this game into the list because the fan base of this game is pretty huge, and even the game's genre is totally fit with the video's title. The game is set on the dystopian metropolis where the ambience seems so dark at all, with some abnormalities and gothic base. I would say it has a free-to-play friendly because the main structure progression will make it become so popular, which is not requiring spending if you just want to clear the main quest. The gameplay has a combination of a turn-based RPG and also a real-time brawl, where both of the sides will make a certain action to create a class when we face each other. The player needs to manage and take a full control of the speed target and also the resonance. So the gameplay is totally fit with the dark fantasy and also the strategy base. Overall, it's not only about the visual but also the main theme of the narration. And the world is really important to represent a dark ambience. By the way, you guys need to follow the storyline to know about an interesting and deep conversation. Silver and Blood. This game is pretty relevant with the videos list I have. The main element has a dark fantasy, gacha, and also the game is officially released on mobile platform right now with a gothic and medieval vibes. The game's story is absolutely a dark theme, even the Google Play has given the game's tag to it. I would say there are some elements that will become an identity for the whole game, like the Bloodborne, vampire aesthetic, blood beast, magic gothic atmosphere, and I think that's enough as a proof if this game is worth to play, especially if you're a dark fantasy fan. The main gameplay is autoplay based. Since we enter the battlefield arena, the game will do an auto attack and also lock a different and random enemy where the game will do an autoplay. We can control the skill or let the game decide whenever it's ready as long as its cooldown is ready. The gacha rate is absolutely impressed me. Even the game has a high gacha rate for about 10 out of the 10. I got a lot of SSR or a legendary heroes freely. Reverse 1999. The player should collect a strong character through the gacha system, but trust me, you will easily get a 5-star heroes that are strong enough to kill the entire enemy. But surprisingly, we will get a free 6-star hero and it's a gift or a reward from the developers. Can you imagine how kind he is to let the player have a high quality character? This game has a dark fantasy ambience but in a different ways. We will not find any vampire, demon or any gothic kingdom, but the dark fantasy will deliver a psychological horror, historical fantasy, and also apocalyptic element. The main storyline is pretty unique because we will get back into the history era. Overall, I love to see the art direction is pretty unique with a combination of vintage, gothic, and surreal. The gameplay is a turn-based, but the player needs to manage the card skill to combine a perfect ultimate skill. Morimans. This game suddenly attracted for more players who love to play a gacha game, with a turn-based and special character design making it look way similar with the Reverse 1999. It has a character collection, RPG base, and also a deck building system. So all of the characters that you have should be has a good combination between the strategy, synergy, and also a card skill deck. That is your main job to create a good decision and deal massive damage at the end. On the App Store, it has a special tag as a Lovecraftian dark fantasy, and the game's description always come with these important words, which are darkness and mystery, and even the arena's background has a darker theme. But if you guys need to list how the musical is, then it will give you a perfect experience from 3 different aspects: visual, music, and gameplay. Remember to like this video and see you on the next list. Thanks.